Next up, we have the Director of Medical Affairs at HITLAB, Prem, Sreenivasan, and Mohsen Omrani from OPTT out of Canada, the leading mental health app in Canada and expanding quickly across North America. We're going to hear about what's happening. We already heard from Dr. Ellman and from Richard Hanbury about a device to help folks with not just mental health, but sleep and other areas that's being tested right now in FDA studies. And now we're going to hear about another highly impressive technology that's already up and running, that's in commercial in Canada and scaling rapidly. Prem?
Thank you, Stan. Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone, and welcome, Mohsen. Good to see you. So my name is Prem Sreenivasan. I support HITLAB with the medical affairs function, and delighted to be part of today's session with Mohsen. And perhaps we could start off with a brief intro from you, Mohsen.
Thanks, Prem. Thanks, Stan, for this great opportunity. So my name is Dr. Mohsen Omrani. I'm a medical doctor. I did a PhD in neuroscience. I did a postdoc in computational neuropsychiatry. And now I'm working our startup, digital mental health startup called OPTT, the online psychotherapy tool.
So welcome to the session, and thank you so much. And would you please start it off by telling us a little bit about your organization and how care is coming together in the space?
No, definitely. So a quick note about OPTT. We are a digital mental health platform targeted at healthcare organizations. So we are a B2B SaaS platform. And we equip clinicians with clinically validated digital care plans and proprietary AI algorithms to support and help clinicians with their decisions and to increase care efficiency and capacity by up to 4 times by using both pre-designed disease-specific care plans and our AI capabilities. And I think you mentioned about why I actually started doing this. I've always been, interested in solving the brain, and that's why after my medical school, I just went to do a PhD. I soon became disillusioned that the brain cannot be solved anytime soon. But I saw, there are other ways to help patients by just making, addressing difficulties in that are faced in this space. So, for instance, a major challenge with mental health problem is access to care. Now, that access to care could be limited because of the geography. U.S. is a very wide country, and so 120 million of U.S. population lives in the middle of the country with 34 people per square mile, and now compare that to 463 in Western Europe. Now, providing care to all those vast area is not really something that could be done in the traditional way. And, at this point, there are other problems like stigma, there are other problems like affordability. But even if those were not the problem, even if we could provide care to every single patient they need, the challenge is that we do not have enough clinicians to actually deliver care. So right now, there are 11,600 patients for each one psychiatrist. And that means that given that, among the, not patient population, sorry, that at each time 20% of the population needs mental health, that means that there are 2,300 patients for each psychiatrist to handle per year. That's an impossible number. Usually psychiatrists handle 200, maximum 300 patients. So it's like a 10, power, of difference there. So essentially, we do not have the patient, the need and the demand is exponentially expanding, and the supply is not catching. And unfortunately, supply is not only not going up, it's going down. 50% of psychiatrists practicing today are scheduled to retire by 2025. So supply is rising, the demand is going up, the supply is going down. We need shift in paradigm. We cannot train clinicians as fast. We have to do something else. We have to be able to multiplicate the effect that each clinician has, and that is exactly why I started OPT.
Thank you for that. And perhaps on the same vein, you could probably also make a few remarks on the effects of COVID. And COVID has been a concern. So what are some of your takeaway messages from there?
Yeah, no, well, I mean, all as bad as COVID was, it had some good effects too. I mean, first of all, it brought mental health issues to the forefront, of the, the society. People really acknowledge it, really see it as a problem right now. And because, it was now not possible to actually go and visit people, then people understood the importance of virtual care units. So, for instance, before COVID, the number of digital behavioral health claims was around 166,000 per month. That number, just in 2 months after the COVID hit, rose to 4.9 million virtual visit, per month. Which shows that, and still is one of the biggest chunk of the market. So it shows the importance of, mental health. It shows the importance of digital care. And so we actually were lucky enough that after the COVID hit, we wanted a rapid response grant from Queen's University. We started designing our COVID module from scratch up. We did the clinical trial over the summer and fall. And we published our first peer-reviewed article in December, going through the protocol and the initial results. At the same time, we made the module available to our customer that was serving other enterprise customers. And the employees, they were expecting like 3 to 4% utilization in 2 months. They had 10% utilization in 2 weeks, and they had this rush of data coming in, like nothing similar to what we see in a clinical trial. And in 2 months, we had a huge data set showing the efficacy of our module. And we saw 40% reduction in anxiety and depression symptoms among employees using our modules. And, the effect was even clear after the first 3-4 weeks, so we were really happy with that, and we are hoping that we can scale it up to bring help to more people in need.
Well, that's fantastic. So it clearly has all the features of scalability and adoption and utilization. So perhaps in the final few minutes that we have, perhaps you could outline some of your visions on how you foresee this space to grow in the upcoming 5, perhaps 10-year span.
No, definitely. So I was trying to look for this number. I don't know what is the official number now, but I think in the last I checked, there were like 1 million or hundreds of thousands of mental health app on Google App and App Store, and this shows the need, right? People are in need. Some people are going to use it, but the point is that the fact that everybody can put out an app doesn't mean that they are qualified to do so, right? You are not receiving, you're not just, if you need a surgery, you don't go, download a random app and, start taking the knife on yourself. This should be the same for mental health as well. Mental health is a medical issue. So it shouldn't be as rigorous as any other field of medicine. So the fact that I think one thing that we have always been focused on has been clinical validation.
Mhm.
So we believe that we have done 8 clinical trials so far. We are doing 4 more in the next few weeks. And that is our commitment that, any module, any care plan that goes on our platform is connected to a clinical trial, is connected to a peer-reviewed article. So it means that if we tell you that, our anxiety module reduces symptoms by 40%, there is an actual paper that you can pick and say, okay, this was the control group, this was the intervention group, this many patients changed their symptoms and by how much, right? So there should be transparency, there should be clinical evidence for anything used for mental health. On the other hand, that helps, the clinical validation helps, but still we need the use of technology, and the technology is we can if Google and Amazon can know what we are looking for to offer us, why we don't use that to help patients for something actually good, right? So that is what we have been focusing on. We have been focusing on developing machine learning algorithms that help clinicians to communicate with their patients, help clinicians to use the clinical data from before to make decisions for future. And also, more importantly, we firmly believe mental health problems are chronic disease problems. And like any other chronic disease problem, like diabetes, there should be a chronic and continuous care plan. And one of the first elements of any chronic care plan is the ability to monitor symptoms continuously outside the clinical setup. And that is what we're focused on. We are collecting active and passive data. With passive, we are monitoring patients' sleep patterns and activity patterns. And with active, we are using natural language processing, and we ask patients to write a journal, and we are working on the accuracy of our prediction of the patient's mental status based on their writing. So those are the parts that we are combining the technology to be able to do those tasks.
So that's terrific, Mohsen. Great to to hear your perspectives and some of the important efforts in this rather important space, mental health, which is critical global need. I think in the few minutes that we have left, I want to pass it on back to Stan, who will take over and can start the next session. Thank you. Thank you, Mohsen, for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you, Prem, and thank you, Mohsen. It's really good to hear the background on this important technology and really begin to see where this is such a global effort and how it's happening. Thank you again.
Thanks for having me.